of Egypt. All right, and there were 6 wars. So you have these 2 kingdoms having these series of wars for X amount of years, but in between, in the middle, is Israel. So just looking at that alone, as the wars get really jumping or they really get cranked off, there's going to be these nations going at it. But the crux or the core, the real target is going to be Israel. Because there's not an Israelite army here. There's not an Israelite army here. But everything's about Israel. Okay. So Daniel 11, in the year 180 through 144, we have Ptolemy the 6th. Philometer. I forgot that meant lover of brother, or lover of mother, or anyway, but whatever. Now he was the king of the Egyptian realm. Something else to know, that, and we'll talk about this more probably next week. But the 4 winds of heaven, I think it's in Daniel 8. The 4 winds of heaven, or the 4 horns that came from the big horn. Yeah. Hang on just a second. When it talks about Alexander the Great, and obviously he dies, there were 4 generals that arose. And those 4 generals, okay, which is in 8 and 22, when the great horn is broken, that's talking about Greece, or Alexander the Great. And in verse 22 of the 8th chapter, now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up, 4 kingdoms shall stand out of the nation, but not in its power. So 4 generals stand up, they take... and there was like 15 years. We'll talk about that next week. But anyway, out of those 4 nations, these 2 became the big ballers. They became the big baller brand. All right. The Egypt, king of the south, and then we have the king of the north. And this is from 175 to 164. Antiochus Epiphanes. All right. Antiochus Epiphanes. Right. He called himself God. All right. Now, when it talks about in this passage in Daniel 11. It said that in his estate shall stand up a vile person to whom they shall not give honor of the kingdom. He shall come in peaceably by flatteries. Okay. Antiochus the third, all right, his older brother, right, when he dies, his son Demetrius is supposed to get the kingdom. But Demetrius is locked up. Locked up. And they wouldn't let him out. Right? He's in a Roman jail. So now the book told us that somebody who's not even supposed to be there gets the kingdom. So Antiochus kind of slides in and it's like, hey, I'll hold it down until they let him off lot. When he get out, he come in with peaceable flatteries, right? So when he gets in there, it says, and with the arms of the flood shall it be overflown from before him, and he shall be broken. So when he come in, when he get his feet wet, he pretty much claimed himself as king and rejected Demetrius. So the Romans are like, yo, you want Demetrius out? Nah, man, leave the man in there. I don't know him. Leave him in there. Let him rot. So Antiochus is now this king. So in verse 20 in Daniel 11, that's a different king of the Seleucid Empire. So it'll jump from king to king. It'll jump. So in verse 21 is not the same as verse 20 in Daniel 11. Okay. Also says that and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. After the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for she'll come up, he shall become strong with small people. So he now Onias the third was the high priest in Jerusalem. Okay, he eventually got Onias the third killed. All right. This put an end to the Aaronic priesthood. Mm-hmm. So earlier we was reading some stuff in Maccabees. It was talking about the guy Jason who set up the gymnasium. All right, this is Onias' brother. Okay, but Jason is a Hellenist. Mm-hmm. He is his brother, but he's a Hellenist. Okay, so the covenant, the prince of the covenant, and we'll talk about this next week about how the Levites are deemed the princes of Israel. Okay, but that got cut off, just like the Bible said. Shall become strong with small people. He makes leagues with a lot of other people, and he pretty much talks smooth to them. Yeah, I'll take them taxes off. Don't worry about them taxes. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. It says that he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. So his father and grandfather, all right, they were in a time of war. The grandfather was at a time of war with Rome. All right? And the irony of this is that they lost to Rome, and Rome said, okay, there's reparations to pay. Reparations, as in you owe me. Mm-hmm. So the Seleucid Empire, under his dad or granddad and dad, they were trying to pay off this debt to Rome. So you go and the nations in your kingdom, you go and you rob their temple treasury, you raise higher taxes, you build up money to pay back Rome. Now the irony is that they had to pay Rome reparations for going to war with them. So then today in the news and stuff, certain news stations or whatever topics, somebody talk about the slaves having reparations. Like oh no, but throughout history that's very common for people to get reparation. But anyway, that's another deal. But anyway, so he had this king Antiochus. He had money his dad and other they didn't have money. They're in debt. So you go to war, you got to pay off this money. So he had money. Okay, all right. And 23 through 24. Which I read too fast. Anyway, in the league he made them work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong to small people. He shall enter peaceably into the fattest places of the province, and shall do that which his fathers have not done. He shall scatter among them prey and spoil and riches. So what he did was he was not in debt. He was out of debt. He bought and bribed nobles. Okay, he installed Jason in 174. It says Onias the third brother. Jason is a Hellenist. Okay, so we read about the gymnasia, the gymnasium earlier. That's what Jason did that. Okay, this is who Antiochus installed. So he was grimy. He said, "Hey man, my brother, man, he's still stuck to that old way, that old Israelite Mosaic way. Man, if you can get him out of here and you put me in, I have gyms all over the place. I have stuff." So that's what he did. Now, about 3 years later, what he did was he installed this guy named Menelaus, goes to Antiochus, and he says, "Hey, you know what? Jason, he's doing some stuff I can do a whole lot better. I can be a whole lot more wicked. If you get him out the way, and you put me in, I'll do a better job for you, and I'll raise taxes. I'll get you more money." Okay, so he installs Menelaus in 171, not of the family, right? He's not related to these guys. He's a big Hellenist, all right? Aaronic priesthood ends. So that was the prince of the covenant. So by the time Mashiach gets into the scene, there are no priests. It got cut off. Okay, just as it says in Daniel. Onias III was executed, and the Oniads, the rest of the family, they flee into Ptolemy, to Egypt, for help. Okay, so in my book I had referenced about the different temples, sanctuaries of Yah being in Africa, and one of them was in Egypt. And this was the guy, not him, but one of the Onias family members went down there and built a sanctuary in Lentopolis or Heliopolis. So anyway, so verse 25. And he shall stir up his power and courage against the king of the south of the great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to do battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, they that fed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. Both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief. They shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper. for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Okay, so now we have in Daniel 25 through 27, in 170 BC, Ptolemy, because we had some Judeans just go down to Egypt asking for help, right? They just went and asked for some help. They go to Ptolemy and ask for help. So Ptolemy moves against a place called Colli, Syria, and he brings a small army. He didn't bring a big army. It shouldn't have been a big deal, but a large Syrian army advances. Okay, in the midst of that, this Ptolemy king is betrayed by his royal advisors. So in the Bible, we are told, yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him.
Okay.
So this king got set up because Antiochus, he was of flattery, throwing paper around. So some of Ptolemy's advisors had already hollered at the little elbow bump with this Ptolemy. Okay, so he didn't kill him, all right, but this Pharaoh or this Ptolemy becomes a puppet to Antiochus IV. Okay, so what Antiochus' father had always tried to do is that these generals were always fighting each other, trying to get all of Alexander's kingdom. But in the Bible it said that the kingdom would be split up. It would not be one like it once was. That's what Yah said. That's what they all tried to become, to one try to fight, to try to overtake, and it never happened. Keep that in mind. It never happened. It never happened. So, at this time, this Pharaoh, this Ptolemy is a puppet, all right? And in Alexandria in Africa or in Egypt, that's a big city there, all right? The people rebel. And they appoint Sicon, all right? And he is Ptolemy the Eighth, all right? So he's a brother to this Ptolemy right here, who's now become a puppet. Okay. Now, Sicon, this is funny, you'll laugh at this. Sicon means fat belly. So this particular, he was living good. He was eating good in Alexandria. Man, living good, nice and round. Okay. So you have now, you have like a civil war going on in Egypt. So this big city of Alexandria, they're saying, we want Ptolemy the Eighth to be the leader. Not Ptolemy the, I think this is the, I should have put that up there, but I forgot. This right here is Ptolemy the Sixth. This is Ptolemy the Sixth, this puppet here. So they're saying, hey, now Ptolemy the Seventh is a baby, so he's not. It's not his time. He's in the picture, but he's a baby. So Ptolemy the Sixth is a puppet, Ptolemy Seven is a baby, and Ptolemy Eight is a fat belly. Okay, so the people of Alexandria, so they're saying, hey, we want him to rule, and so this means Antiochus. So Antiochus the Fourth and Ptolemy the Sixth meet to arrange plans on getting rid of or eradicating Sicon. What the Bible say in verse 27. And both these kings, who are these kings? Ptolemy the Sixth and Antiochus the Fourth, shall do mischief, and they shall speak lies one at a table, but it shall not prosper. So we're having President Trump goes to China. They talk. But in reality, who are we about to be at war with? China. So they're conspiring to get rid of Fat Belly. But in reality, they're plotting on each other. So we're having a meeting specifically to get rid of Fat Belly. But Yah knows they shall speak lies one at the table, and it shall not prosper. Okay. Daniel 11:28. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant. He shall do exploits and return to his own land. Okay, so he's leaving Egypt. Antiochus the Fourth is, and he just got through having a meeting with his puppet, but the puppet, like, I ain't be your puppet no more, right? So so he leaves Egypt. He's going back to Syria. He stops in Jerusalem. Antiochus the fourth stops in Jerusalem. And Menelaus, the really wicked guy, the big Hellenist, right? The end of the priesthood. He says, hey man, tax the mess out these people. Tax them heavy. I need cheap. I need some more money. Okay? Now while this is going on, Sicon, fat belly, Ptolemy the eighth, rebels against Ptolemy the sixth, takes over Egypt. Okay? Verse 29 in Daniel. At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. For the ships of Shittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary. They shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice. They shall place the abomination that makes desolate, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. They that understand among the people shall instruct many, but they shall fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity and by spoil many days. Okay, that was Daniel 11, 30 through 33. Okay, did I go too far? Yeah, I did. Anyway, so Daniel 29, at the appointed time, he's going to come back to Egypt. Antiochus is. Mm-hmm. All right? But the Bible says that it won't be as it was the first time you came. So when you came down here, it was good. You was free. You could, he comes to, and why is he coming back? Because Fat Belly rebels against his brother. So now Antiochus is coming back, but he's coming back with a big army. Huge army. I got money. I got paper. I got a big army. We're going back to Egypt, but it's the ships of Shittim come against him. In other words, the Romans are there. But the Bible had already said that. Antiochus the fourth returns to Egypt to get rid of Fat Belly. Rome is there. How do we know that? For the ships of Shittim shall come against him. Right? The Shittimites are there. The Romans are there. G. Populus Lanius, the infamous, you ever heard us saying, I'm going to draw a line in the sand? You ever heard that saying before? This is where it comes from. So you have Antiochus, who calls himself God, with a big army, coming to Egypt, sleeves rolled up, we about to scrap. And you got Rome there in Egypt. They're like, what you doing here? Just here looking for Fat Belly. Well, and some of this stuff, I answered the line for me. Some of I left out. This Ptolemy, who is, he goes to Rome. He goes to Rome and says, hell, it's chaos. Because there's a peace treaty, right? And there's a peace treaty between Rome and Egypt, or the Ptolemies, because there's a lady named Cleopatra. Mm-hmm. So we will get into that. But it's amazing how good he is. And then we got the history behind it. All right. So anyway, so this, and he's not even a fighter. He's like a senator. Probably out of shape. Ain't no war, no sword, no nothing. He says, hey man, before you leave, are you trying to go to war with them? Because if you're trying to go to war with them, you're going to war with Rome, because we got a peace treaty with them. Keep in mind, peace treaty makes nations come together to fight. We're going to get to that. So, Antiochus is like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm out of debt. I ain't trying to really fool with y'all. Let me go home and think about it. So this senator, puts a stick and draws a circle around him. So I tell you what, partner, if you step out this circle and you ain't gave me no answer, that's an act of war. And you just declared war against Rome. We're going to come holler at you. Now, Rome has proven itself, because during this time we're having the we're in between the Second Punic War with Carthage, right? So there were 3 wars: the Romans with Carthage, and they got Carthage under control. So it's like, man, them Rome folks is like blowing up, like it's like young LeBron, like they're about to take the league over. All right. So, needless to say, Antiochus declines. He says, I'm not going to fight. So when he leaves Egypt, therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. Mad as fire. I got all these soldiers. I got all my men. I just got punked by a stinking senator. I just got punked by a senator. So on his way back, when he stops in Jerusalem, what the word say? It said, he shall have intelligence with them for the forsake the holy covenant. He shall stand on his part, pollute the sanctuary of strength, take away daily sacrifice, place abomination. So this is what he did. He tore down houses and built fortresses. Because he's I'm going to war. Tore down houses, built fortresses. Changed the name of Yah to Zeus Olympus. Forced sacrifices to Zeus. No Shabbat, no festivals, no circumcisions. Committed the abomination that makes desolate. Stole money. Stole money. Left troops behind. It was called the Reign of Terror. That day was Kislev 25. A pig was sacrificed on the altar, and the temple was shut down for 3.5 years. So from 168 BC to 165 BC, the temple was shut down. Okay? All right, it was shut down. So what the scriptures said literally happened. All right, literally happened. All right, Daniel 11:32 shall do, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. Okay, so you had the Hellenist people in Jerusalem and in Judea. These are proto-Sadducees. Proto-Sadducees. So we get a picture of why Jerusalem looks like in our New Testament, why it looks like that, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Well, the ones who wanted Hellenism, because we hear Hellenism, we think, ooh, witchcraft. No, it's just Greek thought, Greek way, right? So instead of writing on paper, I got a computer, right? Instead of doing the 7, 3, 1, 6, the old phone, I got a cell phone. So people viewed this Greek way as the new wave. New way to think, new way to act, new way to cook, new way to dress. All this. That's why Paul uses language of exercising in Timothy. Because Macedon is where this comes from. So he's speaking to people they understand. So anyway, so then you have the Hasidim, proto-Pharisees. They opposed the Syrians. They held up to the law. Okay? So you had these groups splitting up, which is what the Bible has said. Such do wickedly against the covenant, and shall he corrupt by flattery. So the people who were Hellenists, they got all kind of privileges, and didn't have to pay taxes, and could probably steal and cheat and all that kind of stuff, right? It sounds like politics today, don't it? So ain't nothing new under the sun. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. This is the Hasidim, right? The Hasidim, all right. They that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword. So the Maccabean revolt is from 167 to 160 BC. All right, so they came in and went crazy 168. All right, that's when everything got shut down. So 1 year later is when the Maccabean revolt starts. That lasts for 7 years. But in the middle of this is when they got the temple back. They took the temple in 165. As I was explaining earlier, that they took the temple back in 165, but you know what? Still got fighting to do.
Okay. That's a good point.
They took the temple back in 165, still got fighting to do. So when we reclaim or we dedicate something, and then the adversary comes in, and let's just say we get our life right, get my mind right, get everything right, you don't stop fighting.
Come on. That's good stuff.
Whatever happened before was going to happen again. All right, so then we are told, now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flattery. So this was the Maccabean revolt. I got ahead of myself. But the Maccabean revolt is a little help. That's the little help, right? Because you got farmers and priests coming together, fighting armies and winning. Okay, and there were people who joined the cause, but they didn't join for to be righteous. They joined because they got the momentum. Even later on in time, John Hyrcanus made the Edomites convert and go to and become a part of Judah, right? He could, so there are some things that happened. Like once the righteous fight was done, other things happened. It was kind of like, I don't know about that, They made a league with Rome and so on and so forth. But anyway, so in verse 35, and some of them of understanding shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. So at this point, we have 160 years till Mashiach comes. We're 160 years away till Mashiach. So we're seeing how Judah looks like and Samaria looks like before Mashiach gets there. Now, we talked about it jumping from king to king. Daniel 11:36 through 45. Verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper that in indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall I regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate he shall be honored, the God of forces, and a God of whom his fathers knew not, shall he honor with gold and silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus he shall do in the most stronghold of the strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause him to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. At the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen, with many ships. He shall enter the countries and shall overflow and pass over. Time out. Hold up. Who is this king? Is it still Antiochus IV? We just read from 36 through 40. The same guy. He's going to go into the king of verse 40 at the end, at the time of the end, shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind. So the king of the north is going to go against the king of the south, like a whirlwind. But when Antiochus went to Egypt, Rome was there. That's what the Bible said. So what king is this? Or is this, and at the time of the end? So it's going to be another guy, another king that is being revealed to Daniel that's going to be like Antiochus, but way worse. And what does it say in verse 39? And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. He will, verse 37, not regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women. Antiochus IV, he had kids. He had kids. But this king is going to come strange God. Nobody knows. Verse 42, he shall stretch forth his hand up also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. Rome was there. He never went back. What king is this that went into Egypt? What king of the north? So it can't be Antiochus. Right? The war, I put the chart, no, I'm sorry, Kelly. She don't like when I do this. But the wars, the Syrian wars between them ended in 168. So what king is this? But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, over all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and Ethiopians shall be at his step. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury, destroy and utterly make away many. He shall plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. So we're going to stop there. We're going to pick up talking about this king in Daniel 11:36 through 45. We're also going to look at the setup to get to Antiochus. And then we're going to look, now we can look at Revelation. And we can keep considering what we've been talking about. The Chanukkah 2017. The war drums are beating. We got to realize that the day that we're in, first thing first, we got to repent.
Amen. And
stay there. All right? We can't be like a tennis ball hit by Serena and a sister, bouncing back and forth.